On behalf of the 119th Security Forces Squadron Commander, Captain Joe Anderson, I want to welcome everyone here, especially our members of the Security Forces Squadron, their family, their friends, and I just want to introduce myself. First time up here in this capacity. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Rob Schultz. I'm the Security Forces Manager. We have with us today a number of distinguished guests, and I'd like to introduce them to you one at a time. When I introduce you, would you please stand? And if the audience would please hold the applause until we've introduced everybody. Okay, first I'd like to introduce our Honorable Jack Dalrymple, Governor of the state of North Dakota, Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard. Thank you, sir. Our First Lady, Betsy Dalrymple. Major General Dave Sprinsanatic, the Adjutant General, North Dakota National Guard. Representing the Honorable John Hoven, United States Senator for North Dakota, today is Justin Forty, State Director for Senator Hoven. Representing the Honorable Heidi Heitkamp, United States Senator for North Dakota, today is Ryan Nagel. He's the State Director for Senator Heitkamp. Representing the Honorable Kevin Kramer, United States Representative for the state of North Dakota, today is Lisa Gibbons, the State Director for Representative Kramer. I'd like to introduce Brigadier General Al Dorman, the Deputy Adjutant General for North Dakota National Guard. Brigadier General David Anderson, the Land Component Commander. I'd like to introduce our own Colonel Rick Gibney, the 119th Wing Commander. I'd like to introduce Chief Master Sergeant James Gibson, the Senior Enlisted Advisor for North Dakota National Guard. I'd also like to introduce Command Sergeant Major Harley Schwinn. He is the Command Sergeant Major of the North Dakota National Guard. And also I'd like to welcome the members of the Joint Executive Council and all the senior leaders in our audience today. Thank you. I'd also want to acknowledge and thank the following: the family members of our Security Forces Airmen and any of the employers of our Security Forces Airmen. So, and give them a round of applause too. We are here this afternoon to recognize the deploying airmen of our 119th Security Forces Squadron. Their airmen have been training for this deployment for the past year and are now ready to begin their journey. After the training is completed at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, of course, they'll be deploying and serve in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom for a total of 6 months. Their primary mission, of course, will be the security of Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan. So at this time, I am honored to introduce our first guest speaker, the Honorable Jack Dalrymple. Please join me in welcoming Governor Dalrymple.
Thanks very much for including us today, and Betsy and I are very glad to be with you and be part of this very important occasion to honor those who are heading off to serve our country and serve our state in Afghanistan. I think it is a great moment to recognize the patriotism and the selflessness of a good number of people. I'm sorry we didn't get here early enough to greet some of you individually, which we usually like to do, and maybe afterwards Betsy and I can do that for a moment. We'd like to recognize especially the leadership of the squad that's going out, and I think we'll have a chance to do that before we go. As governor and the commander-in-chief, it is my privilege to stand before you today and on behalf of a proud and grateful state to honor all of you for your dedication to duty and your willingness to serve in the defense of our homeland and our way of life. You represent the best that we have to offer from our state and our nation, and we know that our Air Guard and our National Guard are, without any question, the best in the nation. I don't hesitate to say that because I know the record, and I know the record of participation in our state is unequaled anywhere. I'm also privileged to be served by a guardsman every day in my office who was the lawyer for the folks in Afghanistan. He's now my lawyer. Jared Tufte is here with me. Just raise your hand. He reminds me every day of how I'm supposed to act, and it's a privilege to have great people like yourselves mixed into our community, mixed into our society every day of the week. And General Sprinsanatic, see you here today. We've spent a fair amount of time together the last 2.5 years. Little did we know that we would become flood experts together in 2011. And it gave me the great opportunity to see what people can do when the challenge arises. And Colonel Gibney, thank you for welcoming us. I like the door-to-door service, airplane right to the door. That's always a good way to go. And welcome to all the representatives from Washington as well. We want to say that this is a tough day because families know that they're getting close to a departure, but it's also a great day because we are so proud of what you are doing for us. And even though there is a goodbye coming up very close to this time, we want to say to you that you will be in our thoughts and in our hearts every moment that you are gone. We are thinking about the selflessness of what you do, the courage you're showing, the sacrifices that you're making, and how those are part of a great and long tradition in this country of all of the people who have stood up and have gone forward to defend our country and defend the freedoms and the rights that we have as Americans. It is an incredible long list of people over hundreds of years that have stood up for this country, and that is why we are here today. So you are serving among some very, very distinguished people. We know that when you serve, your families serve too. And it's always so great to see so many people bring their families to this occasion. I think it really shows that everyone is well supported. And to the families, thank you also for the service that you are rendering to the Air Guard and to your country. We know that it is a great sacrifice for every family as well. And these are not easy days when people are gone. It is easy for us to say these words, and we do not even know what it is really like to make some of the sacrifices that you are making. We can only imagine what that is. But we can think about it, and we can imagine some of the things you go through. You represent a great group. It's a great legacy of duty and honor, defenders of freedom, protectors of peace. Thank you for your outstanding service to our state and nation. Our thoughts and our prayers will be with you and your families throughout this entire deployment. And I know that your compatriots, your colleagues, will do everything that they can to support your families and support your friends in the time that you are gone. God bless the 119th and their families. God bless the great state of North Dakota. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. At this time, next I'd like to introduce Major General David Sprincinatic. Please welcome our Adjutant General.
Thank you, Sergeant Schultz. And by the way, if this is the first time you've done this, you're doing pretty darn well. I think we'll keep you around. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our send-off ceremony today. It really is great to see the number of airmen and family members and friends that are here as we send off another element of the 119th Wing, the Security Forces Squadron, to that far place across the ocean where once again, you'll be defenders of our nation. Governor, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support for our National Guard. Thank you for everything you do to ensure that the people of North Dakota continue to know that we have the greatest National Guard anywhere in the nation. And First Lady Betsy, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you with us to show how important family support is to everything that we do. To our representatives of the congressional delegation, I appreciate you being here today. I know it's the middle of the week and your bosses couldn't be here. I apologize for that, but this is the time when it works best for the airmen and the families. And it's ironic that last night the President in the State of the Union address spoke to the fact that we're going to have a significant drawdown in this coming year of our forces in Afghanistan. And here we are, less than 24 hours later, participating in a send-off ceremony. We all know that we continue to be a nation at war, and I wish I could say that there was an end in sight. But for the last more than 10 years, almost 11 years now, the 119th Wing has deployed over 2,400 airmen on deployments somewhere in the world involved in the global war on terror. For the last several weeks, we've not had a single airman deployed overseas. And of course, we all know that not too far from here, we have airmen very much engaged in the global war on terror day in and day out. But this has been the first period since 9/11 that we have not had anyone deployed away from home. And after today's ceremony, as the airmen of this particular detachment depart, we'll be back in a couple of weeks to do the same for the remaining airmen that are members of the 119th Security Forces Squadron. To the employers that are here today, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and thank you for sharing your employee with us. I guarantee you that when your employee returns, they will be a more valuable employee to you because of the experience they've had. And there's no doubt in my mind that you will continue to proudly show the fact that you are an employer of a Guard member. To our family members, as we look ahead to the coming months, there's no question your job is going to be the most difficult. Your job is going to be tough in that your loved one will be overseas, and there really is no one to pick up the slack other than all the other members of the family. I've always said that it's our family members that have the greatest sacrifice whenever an airman, a soldier, a Guard member deploys overseas. But let me assure you that we have the greatest family support program anywhere in the nation, right here in North Dakota. And whenever the families have a difficult time, I'd ask you to rely on one another. We'll be there to help you, because the most important thing is for you to be able to take care of business at home without troubling your airman who's overseas on a very, very critical mission. So we pride ourselves in what we do from a family support standpoint. We pride ourselves in how we reach out and help one another. And if at any time you need anything, my office is always open, my phone is always available to call, and we will do what we can to ensure that you're well taken care of. And also to the family members, I guarantee that the leadership of this detachment, of this group, is very strong. Many of the airmen that are deploying have deployed before. They know what it's like to take care of one another. What I always stress to our leadership, and we're leaders at every level, the most important job is taking care of your fellow airman, your fellow soldier, your family members. And I know that Tech Sergeant Joshua Clark, he's the leader in this particular group, will do everything that he can to ensure that everybody is safe. as well as our squad leaders, Master Sergeant Grant Lonsky and Tech Sergeant Michael Bittner. Again, well-trained individuals. They will do everything they can to ensure the safety and the success of this particular mission. Also, it's interesting, we've got two brothers, Anders and Jens, see how do you pronounce it? Gillen? Gillard? Gillard? Gillard, thank you. You're doing a great job, I appreciate it. And also, Chief Gibson's son is a part of this deployment, is that correct? And interestingly, we have two young airmen that haven't even celebrated their first anniversary of military service. Airman First Class Julia Lumen and Airman First Class Lucas Brendabile. Where are you at? Well, there's one of the two. To me, the fact that we have, such junior airmen, with literally less than 1 year of service deploying overseas, tells me the dedication, the loyalty, the service, and the patriotism of our airmen at every age, at every year of service. So, thank you for stepping up during this global war on terrorism to serve your state and serve your nation. It literally means a lot to everyone in this country to know that we have such great individuals in the military today. And in closing, when our soldiers, or excuse me, when our airmen return, we certainly are going to have a great celebration. That's always the case, and it's always a pleasure for the governor and I both to be able to to be on the tarmac, to welcome home our Guard members, to be at the airport, wherever the case may be, because once again we know that you will have not only served the nation and state well, we know that we can continue to be extremely proud of who you are, what you do, the great job that you carry out, and how well you represent the state of North Dakota. So Godspeed to all of you. God bless each of you and your families, and may God always bless America. Thank you.
Again, thank you, General. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator John Hoeven's representative, Justin Forty.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today on behalf of Senator Hoeven. I know how important the 119th is to him, from his 10 years serving as governor and our time in the United States Senate. He wants to do everything he can to support you at home and abroad, and also upon your return. I know how important these events are to him. He loves to make them, and it's tough for him not to be here at a time like this as well. But he did send a letter today, which I'll read from now. I want you all to know how proud we are of the work you do on behalf of our country. Your squadron is highly respected for your tremendous skills and professionalism, and we know you will employ your training and expertise to effectively execute the mission ahead. As you prepare today to deploy, know that your state is proud to have such an outstanding group of individuals representing North Dakota. We also wish to extend our special thanks to your families who serve our nation in a unique and important way. We are grateful to all of you, and our thoughts and prayers go with you for a safe return. God bless you. Sincerely, United States Senator John Hoeven. Also today, on behalf of Senator Hoeven and the congressional delegation, I have a United States flag that's been flown over the Capitol that I'd like to present to the squadron to take with them on their trip to Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Justin. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Heidi Heitkamp's representative, Ryan Nagel.
I would just echo what Justin had to say. It's a real honor to be here with all of you today, and I thank you for your sacrifice and your service to this state and this country. I also bring greetings from Senator Heitkamp, who would have loved to be here today, but there is business to attend to in Washington, and I wanted to send this letter for all of you today. Dear friends, sorry I can't be there with you today to thank you for your service, your commitment, and your sacrifice. We're all here to honor those who make this sacrifice, not just for themselves and their families, but for generations of Americans yet to come who will live in freedom. But grateful words are never enough. Over the years, I'm sure that every soldier or veteran in this room has heard many, and I'm sure they were sincere. But to me, the true test of gratitude is not the eloquence of the words, but rather the insistence that this government keep its word with you. We have made a commitment to take care of our nation's soldiers while they are serving and when they return home. These commitments, these moral promises we make to those who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for their country, should be sacred and untouchable. They should be viewed as an unquestionable part of protecting our nation. Across North Dakota and across America, we are so proud and so grateful for the job that is done by all our men and women in uniform. You are the reason we are free, you are the reason we are safe, and you are the reason why I'm so proud to call this country and North Dakota my home. Thank you, and we eagerly await your safe and speedy return. May God bless all of you, your families, and this great nation. Sincerely, Heidi Heitkamp, United States Senator. Thank you much.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, I would like to introduce Congressman Kevin Kramer as representative, Lisa Gibbons.
Again, I would say it's an honor and a privilege to be here before you today and to represent Congressman Kramer. I know he wishes he could be here also, as the other Congress has indicated. They aren't available due to duties out in Washington. But I appreciate your patience while I read this letter that he personally drafted to you and wanted you to be aware of his thoughts and prayers. Dear members and families of the 119th Security Forces Squadron, unfortunately, the congressional schedule keeps me from being with you today, but know my heart is there. Whether delivered in person or written on letterhead, words are an inadequate expression of my gratitude for your selfless service. The commitment of the men and women of our military, the families who love them, and the employers who support them is unequaled. Once again, you demonstrate that North Dakota is paying a higher price than most in the global war on terrorism. You represent the very best of the very best as you wear the flag of our nation and the patch of our state on your uniforms. To the troops, thank you for your willingness to stand in the gap for those of us who sleep well knowing you are there. To the families, thank you for sharing your loved ones for a cause so great as the freedom of the world. Your sacrifice is especially profound. My admonition to the spouses, parents, and children of our troops, stay strong together. Be encouraged by being an encourager. Know that while we may not always say it, we are grateful. Your willingness to endure the pain of distance allows the rest of us to enjoy liberty at your cost. Forgive us for forgetting sometimes, and be assured our comfort is not indifference, but serves as a testimony to the importance of your sacrifice. Chris and I love every one of you and commit to praying for you every day you are apart. If you ever feel the need or even the urge to, please contact me. If I can be of service to you, I will do all that I can, knowing that I can't compare to what you do for me. Blessings and Godspeed. Kevin Kramer, U.S. Congressman.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Next, I would like to introduce to you our senior enlisted leader and former Security Forces Manager, Chief Master Sergeant Jim Gibson.
Thank you. General Governor, First Lady, General Officers, members of the National Guard, families, and friends. For those of you that don't know, I used to be a member of the Security Forces. I was a member for 32 years. and I was his mentor, by the way, General. So thinking about this deployment, I thought about February 2002 was our first deployment. 13 people out the door. We didn't know what they were going to take, what they had to take. We didn't know how they were going to get there. We had a Navy plane fly in up at the General Aviation. We didn't have much of a family support system at that time, as much as we do now. And they actually, I think they left on February 14th, on Valentine's Day. And so now, this is our 9th deployment overseas. Oh, by the way, that first deployment was so secret, they went to Base X. Well, when the country of Bahrain, Base X didn't want people to know where they were going. So anyway, fast forward to now. This is our 9th deployment. We know where they're going. You guys are going to pre-deployment training, which is supposed to give you the best, latest and greatest training. Family support system is great. It's way more than it was back in 2002. And we got whole bunches of equipment in. Some of it you might not even take or use, but at least they're equipping us. So I think things have gotten better, but the bottom line is it still requires you to go overseas and put boots on the ground. And that's the hard part. So for the airmen that are deploying, I would say to you is learn when you go off to training, learn and get excellent at your job. NCOs, I would say to you that you are that first line of supervisory experience. So take care of your airmen. And of course, the senior NCOs or the leadership of the squad, you're that top cover. You're also the ones that are going to have to deal with a lot of the issues. And I have faith in all of you that you're going to do your jobs to the best extent, or to the best. So I also say God bless to all of you, and we'll see you at the homecoming. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Gibson. Sir, I'm trying to follow the protocol here, Colonel Gibney. You didn't make my list, so. However, I'm giving you this opportunity if you'd like to say a few words, sir.
Never pass up a chance.
There you go.
to speak. Thank you. Again, first of all, thank you, Governor General Spritznatic, members of the congressional delegation, representative. I do learn from my job, there's certain things you can say to get you out of a lot of that, and I think that was all protocols observed as far as our distinguished guests. So with that, I'll just take my few brief moments to address the families. As someone who's gone forward before, as someone who's seen a lot of these things, I know that the easy portion of this is for those going forward. When we get there, the routine is pretty straightforward. You show up, schedules are posted, you know what your job is. They've been superbly trained here at the wing through their tech schools. They'll go to Creech, they'll get that top-off training. So guys like me who wear flight suits can walk to the mess halls at the bases they defend relatively safe while they're kind of out there basically on the wire. So to those of you deploying, I'm very confident that you've been superbly trained, mentored. You'll be superbly led when you get to your base, and you'll do a great job and do North Dakota proud. To the family members, again, as General Spritznatic said, that's the difficult part. There's no handbook, there's no manual for dealing with someone in your family, father, mother, sister, brother, who's deployed for this period of time to a place halfway around the world that you see partially on the news, and usually sometimes not in a good light. General Spritznatic has said his priority is taking care of families, and I can tell you from watching him these past 3 years as commander and before that he's absolutely dedicated to that. If you haven't personally programmed his cell phone into your phones, you can do that now. It's 701. But when he says something like that, he absolutely means it. You've all probably met and talked to Mr. Mark Oster standing in the back. Again, he's someone whose number you should have programmed in. And we're absolutely committed at the wing here, whether it's Mark, myself, Chaplain Flowers. I'll pick on him even though he's not a wing asset anymore. Chaplain Bruce Krogstad sitting over here. If we have to come mow your lawn ourselves, we'll absolutely do it to support the families while they're gone. So I'll just echo General Spritznatic's, the governor's remarks. Godspeed to you all. We're looking forward to your safe return, and we'll be praying for you every day. Thanks.
As I said, Colonel Gibney has said goodbye to our folks before. He wasn't really expected to be here this week. He shows up, he's my boss, he's gonna get some mic time, so.
That might count against you.
Sir, at this time, I'd like to have Sergeant Clark front and center. At part of every unit deployment, Governor Dalrymple will continue the tradition of presenting the North Dakota state flag to every deploying unit. And so at this time, I'd like to ask the Governor and General to.
On behalf of the people of North Dakota, present this flag to you to carry with you on your mission.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, General Spritznack. At this time, I was going to take a kind of deviate from protocol a little bit. I'm the MC, and I can do that sort of thing. I just wanted to personally thank, first off, our members of our squadron that are deploying. Just thank you for the time, the effort that you guys put into getting ready for this deployment. The sacrifice, basically putting your life on hold for 7-8 months, it is quite a sacrifice. And one day you'll look back on this adventure and be proud of the fact of what you're doing. Second, I wanted to address the family and friends here too. About 2 years ago at one of our our enlisted awards banquets for the wing, the guest speaker was a command sergeant major. I believe he was from the Air Guard, chief command sergeant, and he made a comment that really stuck with me at the time. He was talking about the men and women who wear the uniform and the fact that we only have about, well, less than 1% of the U.S. population ever wears this uniform. And that always stuck with me. My point being is that less than 1% of the U.S. population really understands the sacrifices that the family members are making. And we can never thank you enough for the sacrifice that you are making. Before I came over here, I put my son on an airplane. He's stationed in Germany. He was home on leave. And this morning, checking in on him, it was comforting to see him in bed sleeping, knowing that he was safe and sound. And, you know, I'm going to think about him every day, worry about him. And, you know, you guys are going to be going through that same thing. And, again, you can never thank you enough for the sacrifice that you're about to endure. If it's ever any comfort to you, the Sergeant Clark, Sergeant Bittner, Sergeant Lonsky, our leadership, they're outstanding NCOs, leaders, human beings. I would entrust my kids under their leadership and their care. And if that's I hope that's a comfort to you. So again, I just want to thank you all. And now I'd like to call Chaplain Krogstad for the benediction. If you would please rise.
Big Air Force didn't like having some of its newest C-130s doing laps around Split Rock. So in 2001, shortly after 9/11, my unit was called up to serve. And we went to the equivalent of base X's all throughout what we affectionately called the stands. One of those was a 20-minute C-130 ride the wrong direction from Kandahar into Pakistan. When we landed there, it was a thin concertina wire we observed that allegedly was going to provide security for us. And it was surrounded on the outside with what were described as being flags supporting the Taliban. This was not a cheerful combination to be greeted with. But it was not the concertina wire. It was young men and women, 18, maybe as ancient as 25, out there on the berms, on the hazes, wearing full battle rattle with M16s, that were doing their duty while us airmen were whining about the primitive living conditions, and I never heard a complaint out of them. They were the ones who kept us safe. I slept as well as I ever have in my life in Jacobabad, Pakistan, because I knew that there were highly trained, highly committed people that took the Air Force core value of service before self and the Army core value of selfless service to its logical conclusion, being willing to protect at all costs. I had a POW as a roommate. I had a tent to myself. M16 in the hands of a 21-year-old was all that was between the two of us, about 4 feet between our cots. I got a nice full sleep that night. Today we mark Ash Wednesday. When we think about the core values of selfless service or service before self, we look to that kick-off event of Lent, to the one who came to serve, to the point of being willing to give it all up for the rest of us, for the common good. I'd like to think that security forces are the very embodiment of what that means. With that, I will pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being here at this day as we say so long, as we send off with your blessings these who have been called to live the core value that we cherish of service. In the same way that they seek to be vigilant, to watch out for, to defend and protect those in their charge, we know that now this day we look out over the next days, the next weeks of Lent, knowing that you yourself have embodied this in your Son. And so we pray that you would extend to them the measure that you have extended to us, that you are there to be vigilant, to watch over, to comfort, to remind them that they are never alone or forsaken, no matter what happens. Watch over them, their loved ones, their friends, their colleagues back here at the base, and remind us all of your love. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Okay, if you'd like to be seated for one more second. I had forgotten to introduce you to Rachel Clark and Dennis Olson. If you guys would like to stand for a second. These two individuals volunteered to kind of be our family support coordinators while our folks are deployed. Rachel is married to Josh Clark, and Dennis is married to Cindy Olson. And so I'll be in frequent contact with them and see if we can plan something, that you all can take part of, just kind of stay together. So ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. I would like to thank our distinguished guests, family, friends, and employers for making this a memorable send-off for our airmen. There are some refreshments in the back, and we hope you stay around for a little bit and chat. And thank you very much for being here. Again, thank you.
The flag can go anywhere. You don't have to
off.
Oh, okay.
20. How you doing, sir? Correspondent of your office. Great. No problem. Thank you for
Either way, go ahead.
you know, people over there need a break and come back.
I did sit down. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm the security superintendent. I'm just here to make sure someday. Make sure they have no problem. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, happy New Year.
I'll try to get out of your way here.
No, you're good.
Come on.
No, you're good.
Pretty good, that's close.
Explain all the family involved with this.
Cookies? All right. Cookies. Cookies.
She's trying to take me out. We're gonna go get it cooked good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take chocolate chip. Thank you so much.
How are you? Very well, thank you.
You're like,
I got a picture with the 2-star.
that's fine. You like babies, don't you? I'm thinking she'll come on to go like
Good seeing you. Take care.
I'm ready, Mario.
Who said I was?